Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into a huge shift in cybersecurity. You see, the biggest threats, they're not just banging on the front door anymore. They're already inside, hiding in that complex web of partners and suppliers you count on every single day.
Okay, let's just start with a number to really get a sense of the scale here. 22,650,000. I mean, that's not just some abstract figure. That is the number of real peoples whose personal data, we're talking social security numbers and everything, was stolen in just one attack on a major US insurance provider. It's just staggering.
But here's the real kicker. What if I told you that massive breach, and so many others just like it, didn't even start with a direct attack on that company? The real source points to something much quieter, much more dangerous. A threat that's already inside your trusted network. So where's the risk really hiding?
All right, let's really dive into this. We're going to look at a few recent incidents, and I think you'll see a pattern start to emerge. And honestly, it's pretty alarming. This is a story about how your security is no longer just about you.
So first up, let's talk about the software as a service platforms we all use, right? The tools that run our businesses. Take the Line messaging app. A system issue there showed that even the most trusted, most mature platforms can leak massive amounts of data from something as simple as a configuration error, a tiny crack that opens up a huge vulnerability.
Then, of course, you've got straight-up unauthorized access. An attack on the Bondi channel service, but the records of more than 1 million members on the line. I mean, think about that. It just shows you the insane scale of risk when one of your third-party partners gets hit. And this one brings us to such a critical point. A data breach at Nissan. But guess what? The problem wasn't on Nissan's own servers. Nope. It was a compromised server managed by one of their subcontractors. That one-weak link exposed the data of 21,000 customers. It's the perfect example of the domino effect in action.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? The weakness isn't just inside one company anymore. It's a systemic risk that spreads across the entire supply chain. It tells us that you are literally only as strong as your weakest link.
So what does this all mean? How do we even begin to tackle this? Well, it means the old way of thinking. You know, building a giant wall around your company and calling it a day. That's completely broken. Your security perimeter isn't your office walls anymore. It's your entire supply chain.
We have to make a pretty fundamental shift in our thinking here. The old mindset, it was all internal. Vendors were just vendors, and the goal was just to check a compliance box. The new mindset, though, it understands that security has to be end-to-end. Your vendors are now your security partners, and the goal isn't just compliance, it's true operational maturity.
And this really reframes the whole challenge, turning it into real-world actions. Your vendor's security is now a direct factor in your own security incidents. That means doing audits and setting clear rules isn't just, good practice. It's absolutely essential. In this new world, how well you manage all of this becomes a massive competitive advantage.
Okay, so if the problem is this massive lack of trust and visibility across the supply chain, how do we fix it? Well, the answer is in building a system of trust you can actually verify. And that is where certifications stop being a checkbox and start being a powerful strategic tool.
A really key concept to understand here is something called PIMS, or a Privacy Information Management System. The best way to think about it is like a blueprint for a house, right? You wouldn't just start building a house without a detailed plan, and you shouldn't be managing sensitive data without a structured framework. PIMS is that framework.
And this just got way more accessible. The newly revised ISO standard for PIMS makes a huge change. You can now get it as a standalone certification. This is a game changer because it lowers the barrier to entry for all those mid-sized and SaaS companies, the very backbone of the supply chain, letting them prove their privacy chops much more easily.
And we're already seeing this happen in the real world. Just look at this. Leading SaaS providers aren't just getting one certification anymore. They're building a whole portfolio of trust. They're covering everything from basic information security and cloud controls, all the way to privacy management and even the governance of AI. This is the new gold standard. So, the crucial takeaway here is that all of this leads to a brand new way of doing business. In a world that's so interconnected, trust can't just be assumed anymore. It has to be earned. It has to be demonstrated. And most importantly, it has to be verified. This isn't just about having a policy document collecting dust in a folder somewhere. It's about actively using respected, independent, third-party standards to prove your commitment to security and privacy. It's how you show your partners, and in turn their customers, that you're a strong link in the chain.
And that leaves us with one last really critical question for you to think about. In a world where your biggest threat could come from your most trusted partner, is your approach to governance just a formality? Or are you using it to build the verifiable trust that will become your most valuable competitive advantage? Because how you answer that could define your entire future.